Stuart, this is Jan.
Yes.
Could you talk about karma? I know you speak about it a lot, but I wonder if you could talk about, is it something that is relevant to my practice?
What kind of question is that? I don't get that question, I mean, karma is, it's your life, and for some reason, your karma is enabling you to teach these classes. Maybe you've grown inside yourself, but I mean, to ask a question like that, I think is just silly. It's really silly. Is
I'm
it
trying
relevant
to
to your classes?
understand what karma is.
Huh?
I'm trying to understand what karma is inside me.
Listen, one day you'll grow up enough in yourself that you won't have to understand it. You'll live it. One day you will evolve in your person, the chakra system will get strong enough and more highly connected to higher energy in the universe, and you will be living consciously, actively your karma without having to understand it. That's one of the eight deadly sins. Everybody wants to understand everything. And, you know, the fact is that there isn't anybody on earth that understands anything. They just kind of bumble around and, live in life. They're born, they live, they die. And everybody has all these things that they're figuring out everything, and the world is still a mess. One day you grow and you don't have to understand. It becomes living reality. And everything you do is your karma. You hit somebody, punch somebody in the nose, that's your karma. And it'll guarantee that it'll come back in some way or another. But how do you understand? You know, you got to surrender to life and let life be the teacher and grow enough inside yourself where you no longer have to understand anything. Just live it. It becomes living reality. And the choices you make are based upon the development of consciousness inside yourself. And that's your karma. So I don't know what else to say about it. What am I going to say? Stop trying to understand everything.
Thank you, Stuart.
I mean, I probably understand less than anybody sitting in this class, but I have such little understanding that I can be used as a vehicle through which all this kind of wisdom comes. I don't understand any of this stuff. It comes mostly because I don't want to understand. I just want to live it. And then you can be used by God as an instrument to transmit Shakti, to transmit energy, and that's your karma. Or you're not used by God to, and that's your karma. And the wonderful thing about karma is that it evolves and changes according to how much a human being evolves and changes inside themselves. But you can't go to a blackboard and draw a diagram of your karma. It's not going to work. You can change inside, and then the karma changes. You see the world differently.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Does anyone else, anybody else want to understand anything or have a question they would like to ask? Oh, there's got to be another question. Even before I met Rudy, it was clear to me that it was impossible for me, Stuart Perrin, to understand how this world works. And even before I met Rudy, I wanted to live it. I wanted it to become living reality. I wanted to somehow find a way to build an inner life that enabled me to emerge, to merge with life, to be one with life, to be part of life without having to understand how this thing works. Because once I knew, even before I met Rudy, if I try to understand all this stuff, I am bringing it down to my level of understanding. And most people, their level of understanding is about 5% of what can possibly be understood in this world. So you're taking the totality of the universe and trying to fit it into 5%. There's going to be an explosion. People wind up in sanitariums. I mean, Nietzsche wound up in a sanitarium trying to understand. It just blows them up instead of opening and allowing oneself to incrementally merge with life. Is that my favorite Japanese saying, climb Mount Fuji, O snail, but slowly, slowly. And then you don't have to understand. It just becomes part of your living experience. And if there's anything that is called enlightenment, I guess it's that. Not understanding anything, but becoming a living example of God's energy manifesting in the world. I mean, you think people that run countries understand what they're doing? I mean, look at the madness we have in the world. How can they understand what they're doing and the world is so crazy? They're all right. And therein lies the eighth deadly sin, or the ninth deadly sin, being right all the time, knowing better than everybody else, and wanting everybody to live in your shadow. You are God on the earth. So the ninth deadly sin, rightness. So years ago, I decided that I just want to be wrong. Much better to be wrong. At least if I'm wrong, I can learn from life how to fix myself. If I'm right, there's nowhere to go. Finished, over. I'm crystallized in the world. It's all over. I'm dead. And you ever see people hang out with people that are right all the time? It's impossible. It's impossible to even be around them. Or you've got to surrender so deeply that you find something inside them, you know, that you can connect with. Does anyone else have a question? why the mind has to get quiet. You understand? Because the mind is a polarized place. It's an area of conflict. It sees things in opposition to each other. And that's how the mind functions. But when you quiet the mind, the heart opens and you begin to receive a wisdom that transcends anything the mind can understand. And it comes from the source of all creative energy in the universe. And that is the wisdom that flows through one's system, that Shakti. And when you begin to live your life transmitting that Shakti, the whole world changes around you. You see the world differently. Does anyone else have a question? I mean, it took Rudy to beat my brains in to learn what the things I'm talking about today. 50 years after he passed on. It took 6 years of being with him to have my brains broken apart. So I stopped trying to be right. Well, and to learn, to let life be my teacher. I mean, he told me that 5 minutes before I left his house to go to Denton, to live in Denton, he took me aside and he said to me, if anyone ever asks you who the guru is, just tell them the guru is life. Now, it took me 20 years to learn what he was talking about. But it was one of the greatest lessons I ever learned. The guru is not Rudy, it's not Stuart Perrin, it's not Swami this one and Yogi that one. It's life. And the job of any teacher is to train people so they can get strong enough inside themselves so that they can sit in front of life. That's the job of it, not to sit in some ivory tower where everybody worships them, but to train people so people can sit in front of the real guru, life. And the incredible thing is there are 8 billion people here that are given the gift of life. And everybody knows better. Everybody knows better. Instead of listening, learning, growing, surrendering to the infinite nature of life, letting it nurture you, getting strong enough. And that's all a teacher is supposed to do, get people that come strong enough to where they can do this. That's it. That's the purpose of a teacher. Not to be worshipped. And I had people, I don't have to do anything. I live in the aura of my guru. How many times I heard this from people? And it was ridiculous. If you lived in the aura of your guru, you would work your ass off inside to grow, to receive everything he has to teach you about how you can get to the real guru, which is life. Not walking around with what you think is a halo around your head, thinking you don't have to do anything. I saw Rudy with his guru. I never saw anybody work harder to absorb the Shakti from his teacher, ever. Just worked to absorb and open to receive that Shakti. It was a great lesson for me. Okay. Does anyone have a question? Anyone else have a question? All right. Well, God bless you all. Thank you. And again, take it with you. Take this all with you. Don't leave it in Zoom. Take it with you. Let it become part of your life. Not the things I'm even talking about, the energy, the Shakti. So I told you 1,000 times, I sat through, I don't know, countless lectures that Rudy gave. I cannot remember 2 of them. But every ounce of energy is inside me. I absorbed and absorbed the energy. And anytime I need an answer, it comes. That lecture, that talk is there. Take the energy and take the Shakti and don't leave it here. Hey, there'll be meditation on Wednesday, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. God bless you.
Thank you. Love you, Stuart.
Good night, Stuart. Thank you.
Bye.
Stuart, thank you.